Hey there, this is Kat Novak, and I am going to walk you through putting together your Valentine wreath. Now, this first step of adding your mesh is the same process that you would go through using any two color of meshes. So you might be seeing this video and it may be that it's not these colors. So don't worry about it. But the point is I use color-coded pipe cleaners to help you know where to put the different mesh onto. So we're going to start with, and it does not matter, let me actually explain something else, outer and inner mesh. So outer is anything that's using these outer two bands. So like this pipe cleaner's on the outer, this one's on the outer two, so that's still considered an outer mesh. Inner is usually what sits up here on these middle two bands around your wreath form. So here, here, and that's the difference between the two. So it doesn't matter if you start with the outer or the inner, it'll all work out the same. Your mesh will be rolled sometimes individually by color, but sometimes for stacking purposes, and it will be combined. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out a few. Ooh. So this is the outer. We'll start with the white. So there is a natural curl to your mesh, so you want to work with that. So I usually will start by just rolling in one of the edges, and then I will kind of like gather, or step, I say, kind of across the mesh. You don't want to do it too tight because you want there to be, you don't want your mesh to be so snug. You want it to be kind of spread out. So I'm taking pretty large finger steps across my mesh. Mesh has rough edges. It will grab onto things, not to worry. Again, we're going to try and roll that outer edge in. So right now, those two outer edges are here and here. I'm going to flip this over, and if it's too far out, you can always pull your mesh apart and kind of roll it in. So have it gathered here in the center. I'm pinching it together. I kind of have my rolled edges, my rough edges kind of pointing in. And then I'm going to bring my mesh form back. I'm going to find a white, and I'm going to go ahead and lay that into the open pipe cleaners or ties or whatever you want to call them. I'm going to cross them over, and I'm going to twist once. You do want this to be kind of snug, as that will keep your mesh for your wreath from being too fat and sticking up. But just one twist is fine. We're going to end up putting ribbon on top of that. Now I'm going to do a red, and again, I'm working with the natural curl of that mesh. I'm going to roll that one side in, and then I'm going to kind of just take giant finger steps across. So tug it to the other side. Again, I'm going to fold that side in. I'm going to flip it over so I can kind of reposition and tuck those under. Pinch it in the middle. Bring my wreath form back in. Apologize if I'm shaking the camera with hitting it. Put them into the open pipe cleaner. Kind of pull and twist. Okay? I'm going to keep doing that around for the outside. We'll do it one more time. Again, roll that side in. I'm going to step it across. Tug it to the other side. And then I'm going to add that to my wreath form. You're going to repeat this process for both the outer and inner. I'm going to go ahead at this time. I'm going to go ahead and just speed up the video. You can pause it. Basically, it's the same process. You're just repeating over and over again. I'll show you a small one just so you see the difference. So the inner is shorter mesh. So you're going to, again, fold in those edges. You're going to walk it across to the other side, and you don't have as much to work with, so you don't have quite as much gathering to do. And then you're going to come find an open red on the inner side, in inner rings, and repeat it. When you're working with just two patterns of, or two colors of mesh, you will have colors next to each other. So there is a red here, and red here. And that's okay, because when you add all the ribbon, it really does break it up. So again, I'm going to speed up the video, add all my mesh, and then I'll come back and we'll walk through adding ribbon and the next steps. Okay, so we've gotten all our mesh on, and that's step one. And we're gonna set the wreath to the side for a minute. We're gonna talk about the ribbon, and it doesn't matter which kit you get, or you ordered, I should say. If you ordered this is the actual ribbon I used in the Loads of Love wreath. They're basically have similar ribbon. It's just there's slight variations, and depending upon supplies, the ribbon may vary. But you should have a sign. It will have, although it's hard to see, a fishing line or a monofilament on it, just that will help you tie it on. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. So we're going to work with the ribbon. So as I said, the ribbon patterns may vary, but the premise is the same. So I always pick one ribbon that's kind of, well, I don't always, but I often pick a ribbon that's kind of what I call the hero of the wreath. And so in this case, it's this little cute truck that kind of matches that truck. So you have 5 of this style of ribbon, and I plan to pair it with this white, shiny, or glittery ribbon. And so I have 5 of these. The rest of your ribbon, you will have 4 of each color. So in the other kit with the love sign, you will have a different pattern has 5 of 2 and then 4 of the rest. So it's the same idea. And in this case, my thoughts were to pair these following together. Now this is your kit. You do it the way you want. But in this case, I'm going to be pairing this heart with this red velvet. I'm going to then pair this cute buffalo plaid with the red hearts with the red and white polka dot. I had originally thought to pair that with the buffalo plaid, but I decided I want to kind of have that spread out more. So in this case, I'm pairing the buffalo plaid, black and white buffalo plaid with this red and white plaid. Then I have this adorable heart ribbon, and I'm going to pair that with pink to kind of bring in a little bit of the pink that's in the hearts in that truck. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, Deco Mesh, as I mentioned earlier, grabs all the time. So I'm trying to set that as far away as possible, so hopefully my mesh won't. So I'm going to start with what I consider my hero ribbon. And I'm going to basically think of my wreath as a clock face. And so you have a 12 o'clock, a 6 o'clock, a 3, and 9. If you only had 4 ribbon, I would put it in each of those set quadrants. But since I have 5, I'm going to kind of start, at the 12 o'clock and then kind of go somewhere in between and kind of hit these points. You're going to want to alternate between putting some of this ribbon on the inner side, inner mesh, and the outer. So I might do 2 inners kind of across from each other, and the rest I'm doing outer. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is you're going to repeat the similar fashion. You can actually, if you want to get right smack in the middle, you can fold it in half and know where you are. But basically what you're going to want to do is gather your ribbon, kind of making sure that your outer edges go down. And so you're going to kind of pinch that together like this. I kind of usually do like 3. And so it's kind of helps it to kind of lift your ribbon. I'm going to do the same thing with my truck. I'm going to kind of fold, fold, and fold. Then I'm going to crisscross these as like an X fashion. And so I've got them pinched in the middle. One thing you do need to pay attention to, this ribbon has a definitive up and down. So when you're putting these on, you want to make sure that you kind of keep them going on the same direction, or else you may have some trucks going this way, some trucks going that way. And so that's what you want to kind of avoid. So I'm going to start at the top, and I think I'm going to go right here on this red. So I'm basically opening up my mesh, or my pipe cleaner over my mesh. And again, I'm going to twist. You can twist it once, or you can just tuck the ends down. So the edges of the pipe cleaner are going to go to the back side of your wreath. And so I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm going to, if it stops grabbing my shirt. All right. So here it is on the back side. You do want to try and, even most particularly with these guys here on that's only on the outermost ring, you definitely want to make sure you try and pull them across the second one. This one is already spanning 2 bars, so it was easier to kind of feed it that way. You're going to kind of pull as tight as you can and twist. And I would just twist like 1 or 2 times, because when you're putting the ribbon on, you may decide that you want to change the position of where that ribbon is. By making that X, so your ribbon already naturally kind of spans out. You certainly can crank it more if it's not where you want it. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my next ribbon. And you can even use the table to help you, so that you kind of go like this. It doesn't matter which ribbon's on top and which one's on bottom, because basically they're both going to show. So I think this is where I'm going to put one on the inside. So I think I'm going to go right here. And again, I'm making sure my trucks are in the same direction. And then I'm going to push those pipe cleaners through to the other side. Like that. And then I'm going to twist. Okay. Going for my third. And again, this is your wreath, so by all means, be creative with it. If you want to completely randomize all your ribbon, go for it. There's really not a wrong or right way to do this. It's purely personal taste. I've seen them turn out well pretty much no matter what you do. All right, so again, I'm making sure my trucks are going in the same direction. This one's more on an outside. And I'm going to flip this one over because I do want to show you, because this happens to be one that spans over this 1 bar. So I want to make sure that I am getting that pipe cleaner over. And the reason for that is if I didn't, it tends to pull when you just tie it off here on this outer bar. Your mesh tends to roll more to the back side. And what we really want is we want that ribbon and all to show on the front. So by pulling it over the second, it does, you can see how that really pulls that forward. And then I'm going to twist off. Okay. All right. And your ribbon's going to get squished and it's going to move around, and that's okay, because when we go to finalize the wreath, you can move, kind of twist things. All right. So since I kind of did on the inner there, I'm going to do this one on an inner one over here. So I think I might choose this white guy right here. And you can, like I said, you can twist it one more time, or you can just kind of, by putting this pipe cleaners to the back side, you are tightening it and securing that ribbon. And so it's completely personal preference. All right, so I'm going to tighten that down. Okay, and now I got one more of my truck ribbon to add. Here. Here. And I'm going to probably come to this red here. All right, so I pretty much have it secured, those ribbons spread out well enough. Yes, I agree, this one is a little tight, but once I start adding the other ribbon, it's really not going to make that much difference. I mean, I think if I moved it over one, it'd be too close. So now you can do this in couple different ways. You can pick your next favorite ribbon and put those on and kind of put them so that they're more that 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 and 9. Or the way I've found the easier way, and I think you tend to get more spread out, is to kind of just start adding the ribbon and alternating. So for example, all right, I'm going to start just picking whatever ribbon it doesn't matter which one you start with. I'm going to go with this one here. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on. And I'm just going to go to this little spot here. And get those. Trying to find like the mesh naturally separates where it's pinched, and I was just trying to find that edge. It's kind of twisted. Because this is an outer. All right. Tuck that down. Okay. So now I'm probably going to grab this white with the hearts and the pink and put that one in. And then I'm just going to kind of keep filling in back and forth with this, alternating these ribbons, and make my way around the wreath. The goal is not to have, two patterns, or at least that's my goal, is to try and keep two patterns not smack next to each other. But in reality, it doesn't matter, because it's great with the randomness of having all this different ribbon. Your eye is drawn to everything, and it doesn't focus in on one specific. And then I'll probably grab this velvet with the red hearts. That's my next one. If you are having trouble finding where you need to fill in, the back of the wreath is a great place to look and see where you have not pulled the pipe cleaners through. That often will help you determine where you need to add the ribbon. Particularly if you work in a random order, and even still, when you're doing it this way, sometimes you skip one. All right, so I've got this guy, and then I'm going to add my fourth ribbon pair that I have. So I'm working, so basically at this point, after putting on that initial one of 5, I've got 4 pairs of ribbon that I'm working with, and I'm going to then just alternate and add those in. So at this point, again, I'm going to fast forward the video, and you guys can just work on adding your ribbon. You can, certainly pause and see where I'm doing it, where I'm putting the ribbon on, but make it your own. Have fun with it. So, all right, well, I'll be back and we'll show you finishing off the wreath and adding on the sign.